Using a console is easier when you know a couple of useful hotkeys. We'll now describe them briefly, and then I'll try to show you how they work. Hotkeys really come in handy because the console is text-based, so there's no scroll bars and the like. If a lot of information is displayed on the screen at once, it can be inconvenient and cause the user to miss something. One of the basic commands is Ctrl+R. It allows you to search through the history of all the commands you've previously used. Ctrl+R and then type any part of the command you're looking for. It doesn't have to be the beginning of the command. The system will then display all previously used commands. Shift+Page up or Shift+Page down allows you to scroll up or down the list of commands on screen, or page, up or down. Please note, however, that it's not possible to view the complete command history. Command history must be stored elsewhere, so there is a certain buffer dedicated for it. In a text-based interface, you can look 4 or 5 screens back. In graphical interfaces, this list can get slightly more extensive, but it won't be exhaustive. Up and down arrows scroll command history one line up or down. It's like Ctrl+R, but it displays commands individually. If you press Ctrl+Shift+T in the graphical interface, it will open up a new terminal displaying the directory of the folder you're currently in. This is very useful if you want to, let's say, edit a certain file in a certain directory, for example, a script, and watch as it's being executed. You can easily open 2 terminals. Then use one to open a word processor to edit a given command, and the other to execute the command without the need of closing the word processor. Ctrl+D will terminate the console, or log out completely if you're working in the text mode only. You can do the same with the command exit. Let's now run VirtualBox to see how these shortcuts work in practice and what happens when you execute individual commands. You can find the terminal in the System menu, which is accessible through the Start menu. If you've installed GNOME and KDE under Fedora, the terminal will be available in 2 options. I recommend the second option, called the console. First, this is unfortunately limited and used only for viewing system events. You'll see a black screen. Ctrl+ and Ctrl- are useful shortcuts which enlarge or reduce font size. Ctrl+R allows you to search through the command history. When you use this shortcut, you'll see that the reverse I search phrase has appeared in the command line. After this phrase, you can type some characters and matching commands will automatically be searched for. Now, you could press Ctrl+R to scroll through all the commands that match the characters you've entered. Up and down arrows will allow you to browse through the commands one at a time. Let me press the Enter button a couple times to illustrate screen scrolling. In the graphical interface, you can see a scroll bar on the right side of the screen, so that you can scroll with the mouse. I'll also type the command is, which we're going to talk about later on. Right now, we just need some text on the screen. Let's say this is your command history. Shift+Page up scrolls the screen up, and Shift+Page down does the opposite. This is a very useful option when you've lost some important information and you want to review output of some program. If there's too much information on the screen, you can type the command clear, which will display a clear terminal. Interestingly, it does not clear command history. You can still review all the commands you've used before. As we said, there's a certain limit on the number of commands that can be stored in the history, but in KDE, you can bypass this problem. Go to Edit, Profile Preferences, and click on the Scrolling tab. There, you have to check the option Scroll Back, Unlimited. The default number is 1000 lines. If you use console very often, however, checking this option may cause problems because the history will use lots of memory space. Keep in mind, though, that the more lines you want to be able to scroll back, the more memory each instance of the console will use, so you should pay attention to this. However, at times, unlimited scrollback may come in handy, so you can turn it on. In the default console of the GNOME desktop, the scrollback limit is 9,999 lines, so, though finite, it's a huge number. Control plus Shift plus T opens a new tab in the directory you're currently in. This way you can easily switch to a new tab. Unfortunately, the font size change that you've made in the previous tab with Control plus or Control minus will not be present in the new tab. We haven't saved these changes as the default settings, so the system won't use them in the new tab. When you go to Settings, Configure Profiles, Edit Profile, you can change color schemes, scrolling, input, and other features. These are the options set as default for the whole system. If you need to change an option in the global mode, for example scrolling, you can do it here. For convenience, I've added the terminal to Favorites. You do this by right-clicking on the application and choosing Add to Favorites or Add to Bookmarks, Favorites. This will allow you to save time, because now you'll be able to quickly find the terminal in the Favorites bookmark. Please note the difference between opening a new tab and using this command in a new terminal. Control plus Shift plus T opens a new tab in the current directory. If you run a new terminal, it will start in your home directory and in another window.